Hi, I'm Tammy with Creatively Yours, Wedding and Event Planning. I'm a certified wedding planner. I've been in business since 2006, helping couples throughout the planning process and making it a little easier for them and stress-free for the wedding day. So basically, I want to start and tell you guys a little bit about how to get started with the planning process. I've got some tips to get you going and some tips of why you might need us to help throughout the planning. First tip, you're going to start with your guest list. That's the biggest thing once you are engaged. So from there, when you're putting together your guest list, you want to put that together first before you start looking into venues. Your venue is going to be very limited on space. You want to think about whether you're going to have your ceremony there, reception. Do you want to have dancing available for guests? Are you going to have any other stations set up for activities? So your guest list is really going to play a big part into your venue. So you'd hate to choose a venue that's going to seat 120 people and you end up having a guest list with 170 once grandma or mom gives you their guest list. Because we all know once they give you the guest list, it adds a lot of people to that. So another thing to think about with the guest list is if you are hosting the event, to try to limit that amount of guests that you're going to be having there, I would recommend giving both sets of parents an amount of guests that they can invite so that you aren't getting a list of 100 people from each of them, and it helps keep the cost down for yourself. Another tip when you are putting together your guest list is just because you may think a certain aunt or someone is not going to be attending your wedding, they may be out of the country, out of the state, still include them in your guest list and send them an invite because it's not your call to assume that they can't be there. And they'd like to know the details still, and if they can't arrive to the ceremony or reception, they'd most likely still like to have information to send you a gift for your wedding. So don't make the call of whether people can come and not to send them an invite. It's best to send everybody an invite so they can make the decision themselves. Still talking about your guest list, once you have that complete list put together and you're ready to do your invites, think about your plus ones. If you're going to invite your cousin who may have a boyfriend or girlfriend and you're going to add their plus one, you cannot invite someone else and not include their plus one as well. So make sure that you're consistent throughout your guest list of who gets to have a guest and who does not, so that you're not picking and choosing for everybody. And one last tip about your guest list. When you're sending out your invitations, do not include any information for your registry. It's kind of rude, it's tacky. You're basically telling them, hey, here's my wedding, I want you to give a gift, here's what I would like from you. So keep your gift registry to your bridal showers and stuff like that, and you can let people know. If you have a website, put it on there. They'll find the website on your invitation, and when they go there, then they'll see where you're registered and they can get all that information as well. Okay, so moving on from your guest list, still thinking about your guests, you need to consider them throughout the planning process. So when you are booking your ceremony and reception site, think about the time and distance between those locations. You don't want to have a church that's 2 hours away from your reception site, or even 3 or 4 hours in between the start time of your ceremony and the start of your reception or cocktail hour. You may have a lot of guests that are coming from out of town, out of state. They may not have places to go. What are they going to do? They don't live around here. So just consider your guests of, the distance and the time between your church and the location for your reception. Your ceremony length is another thing to think about for your guests. If they're coming with kids, if they're limited on a Friday because it's work or something like that, just kind of think of, they're sitting down for a long time, so you don't want them to start getting uncomfortable and want to get up and remove themselves from the ceremony. Thinking about your guests, think of your hotel prices. If you're in a touristy area or a place that's got more luxury kind of hotels, not all your guests are going to be able to afford something like that. So if you've got some hotels that are $200 for a night, make sure you've got some other ones that are on the lower end so that you can cover all price ranges for your guests and they can accommodate themselves according to their budget. So once you have gotten through your guest list and your invitations and stuff like that, make sure you read through all of your vendor contracts when you're booking them. Read through the fine print. There's going to be a lot of things in there that you may not understand or realize, such as a lot of your vendors are going to charge for a vendor meal. Make sure you are aware of that for your budget as well. Sometimes your vendors can add up to 10 people, and that's a big cost for you. Also, a lot of vendors will charge for parking. So if you're getting married in a big city where you have to have parking in a garage, stuff like that, those costs are going to come down to you so that you're not shocked by it at the end. Make sure you know what to expect of extra costs for them. Also, another thing to think about with your vendors is they set up a time for setup, a certain amount of time, and if you need them ahead of time before that so that they're ready to go in a room before your guests arrive, they may charge you extra to be there earlier to have their stuff set up. So make sure you're reading through everything in their contract so there's no surprises at the end. So the next thing we want to talk about is once you get through booking all your vendors, all the planning and stuff, it's time to pack your wedding day stuff. What do you need on your wedding day? Not a lot, your dress, your accessories, and you need to be present. You don't need a huge bag, you don't need your purse with your wallet and your phone and all of that craziness. So here's just a few things to make sure you remember to bring on the wedding day. Your photographer is going to need extra sets of your invitations, any stationery. Make sure that you bring that to the hotel or wherever you're getting ready so that they can get those photos for you. It's nice to be able to look back on all the stationery stuff that you put together. Also bring an extra pair of shoes. I'm sure you've got those high 3-inch heels. They're not going to last you all day, so make sure you have something comfortable you can put on for dancing, or let's say something happens with your shoes and you break a heel, you've got an extra pair ready to go. Don't forget your rain gear. You never know what's going to happen in the weather. It may be a sunny day, but there could be clouds that come through and you're going to need something to cover up. So bring some fun little rain boots, bring an umbrella, bring umbrellas for your bridal party. It shows for a really great, makes for great photos. Last thing to remember to pack is your something old, new, borrowed, and blue. Talk with your family members about things that you can use for these items. Your new item could maybe be a piece of jewelry that your fiance gives to you on your wedding day. Your old, your borrowed could be a cake knife and server from your parents or grandparents. Borrowed could be a piece of jewelry from your mom. So just make sure you talk with your family members about things you can use for those little traditions and pack those up on your wedding day. Okay, my last tip for you is on the wedding day. The biggest thing some brides get nervous about is how do they go to the bathroom in their dress. It's hard. You got a big poofy dress, you don't know what to do with it, you don't want to have an accident on it, you don't want it to get dirty. So my suggestion to you is to sit on the toilet backwards. Have your girls hold the back of the dress, you're facing backwards on the toilet, and it's good and it's clean. So now that we've talked about everything that entails into a wedding planning and the day of, some things to get you started, you're probably getting a little overwhelmed. There's a lot to think about. Over 250 hours go into planning a wedding. So I just want to let you know that having someone by your side, a wedding planner, is very important. They give you that little insight on your vendors. When you're doing all your research for your vendors, it's a lot of time consuming. You don't know who people are. You can read reviews from other people, and you're going to spend a lot of time meeting with 10, 15 different vendors to make your choice. When you have a wedding planner on your side, they've already worked with all these professionals, so they know who's going to be a right fit for you based on your budget, your location, the style, your personality, and they'll pick those right vendors for you so that you can narrow down your choices. Another thing a wedding planner helps you out with is getting your budget going. You can go on to the Knot or any one of those other wedding websites, and they'll give you a very general idea of what you should be spending in all these categories. Oh, 7% here, 40% there, but that's not customized to you. Everybody's got their own budget. You've got what's important to you. So a wedding planner is going to sit down and find those things out for you and customize each category of the budget so that you know what to expect based on your area. The Knot in some places may tell you, well, this is what you need to spend, but where you live is not feasible and you're not going to find somebody in that price range. Or that could be way over budget and you've got some extra money to spend in other places. So we'll talk about that with you and get that customized and help keep you on track with all your different vendors and the aspects of planning. Another advantage of having a wedding planner is we will keep you on track. We provide a planning calendar for you. So each month we're kind of keeping up with you of what needs to be done. I'm sure you'll find in magazines and all sorts of places of everything that you need to do throughout the year. and it gives you a big long list, and it can be overwhelming of, oh my gosh, I've got so much to do, where do I start? So we like to, when we start with a couple, we tell them, you know what, don't look at those huge lists. Sit down, relax, enjoy your family, enjoy the engagement, and we'll tell you what you need to do next so that you don't have to worry about all the things in the background, and nothing will get left undone. We'll tell you every month what you should be working on, provide you the tools, the resources that you need so that you have no other questions. Lastly, having your wedding planner will be there on your wedding day. So we're kind of the stage manager for you. You've put in all this work to plan everything. Now it comes to the wedding day. It's time for you and your family to sit back, relax, not worry about everything behind the scenes. So we'll gather all your vendors, welcome them when they're arriving, answer any questions that they have as far as setup or timing. We go over the timeline with them and welcome your guests. And then everything that's in your timeline, we coordinate for you throughout the day. So your family, your bridal party doesn't have to worry about looking at their clock of when they're going to be doing their toast, when we're doing dances, oh, where do we have to be for introductions, what time is that? Your wedding planner will come and find you when those times are right so that you can enjoy talking with your guests and enjoy the rest of the night. So when you're looking into hiring a wedding planner, there are some different things to think about. Look at their contracts. Some planners are going to, if you hire them for a day of coordination, they're going to be there literally just for that week of the wedding and on your wedding day. A good wedding planner is going to start with you about 3 to 4 months prior to your wedding. Get all your vendor contracts. They'll start taking over your connections with your vendors, communication, put together a complete timeline for you, not just your wedding day timeline of when you arrive to your ceremony, but when the girls are getting ready. Where the guys have to be? What's your transportation? When are your guests getting on transportation? Where do they need to be for photos? So a good wedding planner is going to help you out with those last minute loose ends. Another thing to think about is on the wedding day, a good wedding planner is going to stay with you throughout the entire day. They're not going to leave when your reception or when your dancing is over, when your dinner is over. A wedding planner is going to stay with you till the end because you never know what could happen. Transportation may not show up to pick up your guests at 10 o'clock, and if that happens, who's going to make those phone calls? Not you, your wedding planner should. Another thing to think about is all of your loose ends that need to be picked up at the end of the night, like your personal items, your gifts, your card box, extra favors, all those things need to be collected. And a good wedding planner wants you to be able to enjoy the rest of your night. So they would go around and collect all those things for you so you can enjoy the last dance and your last drink. So in my experience, a bad planner is someone who thinks they are in charge of everything, that they're the ones that make all of the decisions for all the vendors. In the way I run my business is I work with my vendors, not for my vendors, or they don't work for me. We collectively make the day go smooth. So a bad wedding planner is going to kind of take charge and tell your vendors what they need to do and not worry about what their professionalism is. A good wedding planner sticks with what they do so that the other vendors can do what they're supposed to do. Another thing a bad wedding planner would do is, like I said, leave at the end of dinner. They think by then everything is done, you got through all the main events, no more needed, I'm out of here. However, like I said, if something happens later on in the evening, you need your wedding planner there to take care of that. So thank you for watching. If you guys have any other questions, which I'm sure you're going to, please look us up on our website at creativelyyours.events.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Pinterest. Good luck.